Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this demo of the control panel. Today, I'm going to take you through some of the basic features of our control panel. We'll see some reporting information. We'll see how menu building works. We'll take a look at some workforce so that you can see what goes into building your employee profiles. And we'll see some of the high-level settings and just how customizable the Lavu point of sale system can be just from this control panel. So I'm going to start by signing in with the same credentials I use to sign into the point of sale. And that's going to bring me to the dashboard. The dashboard is going to give you a very quick glance and quick overview of your current reporting. You do have the option to change the date. So if you like this format, you can see it for previous dates. Apart from that, I'm going to go ahead and move into end of day because there's really not much else to talk about on this reports section here on the home page. So in end of day, this is where you're going to probably come every single night just to see how your restaurant performed. You can see how many orders were taken, what your total payments were. You can see the difference between what you were expected to take in versus what you actually took in. And what you can see here is that I've got quite a bit of a difference. So if you notice that, you can look at reconciliation and see where that might be. For me, it is because I have a payment mismatch on this particular order. And if I click on it, I can get some of the details on that order to see, okay, there was a refund, but we never made any sort of payment or discount to bring that value back down to zero. So that might be something I look at a little bit later. You, of course, also have the summary on the left-hand side that provides a lot of information about just your cash payments, your card payments, what you could expect to get from taxes, how much you gave away in discounts. There's also gratuity information further down here. Lots of good stuff to have right at the beginning. Something I mentioned during our point of sale demo was that managers would have access to adjust anybody's tips. This is the page where you would go to do that. I could just click on one of my employees and I can see all of their orders and I can see all the adjustments that I can make. Something that we don't see here are card tips, and that's just because I didn't do any credit card transactions on this account. So the only thing I'm able to adjust are cash tips here. Also available on this page, but isn't really seen, is the ability to capture your authorizations and manually settle your batch. That's only going to apply for some of you, but settling your batch manually is nice that you have that feature right here in the control panel. What we often not push our customers to do, but what we often ask them to do is enroll in automatic batching. It just takes one more thing off of your shoulders, and you can rely on the fact that it will go every 24 hours at a specific time. If you're interested in using Lavu's payroll, managing time cards is one of the more important things that you can do. Here, you can create new time cards, adjust existing time cards, and even delete them. You know, if someone accidentally came in on their day off and didn't realize it. I'm sure it's happened before to someone out there. Creating or adjusting time cards gives you the same prompt. Just with creating time cards, you have to select the employee here and put in their times. Obviously, if you're just adjusting someone's time card, there'd already be something in here, and you would just delete it and put in whatever it is that you needed. So if this employee worked from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., click save, and there's their time card. And from this one example, you can see that it will successfully track your regular paid hours, overtime hours, double time, and you can run this report for more than just a single day. You can run it for your entire pay period, and that way you can easily get payment information that you need so that you can properly pay your employees. If there's someone who's clocked in but hasn't clocked out, there's going to be a little warning sign underneath their name to show you that something is wrong or something needs to be addressed with their time card. Here in Workforce is where you have the same option for managed time cards, but this is also where you'll create your employee profiles. There's lots of things that go into an employee profile, and through the onboarding process, you'll learn all about this. The highlights are definitely going to be that everyone's going to need a username, PIN, and password. And one other really important thing that Lavu allows you to do is assign job roles. These job roles, or employee classes as we call them, have to be created somewhere else in the control panel. Actually, it's right here in settings. And once you've got that, you can assign them different pay rates based on whatever job they are working that day. When they clock in at the beginning of their shift, they'll be prompted to select for this employee in particular, are you a server today or are you a cook? That way they can get paid appropriately for the job that they're performing. Another optional section is scheduling. If that's something that interests you with planning out your schedule and printing it out so that your employees can see it, scheduling is very easy to do, especially if you've got a template that you work with. Once you create that template initially on one week, you can then take that previous week and under actions, you can duplicate it. So if you've got a pretty consistent schedule with your team, you don't have to spend so much time doing scheduling. You can just import it from the previous week, and then make the adjustments as necessary if someone's going to be out a certain day that they aren't normally. Making the schedules very easily, just click on New Shift, and you'll just select the employee, give the times and days that they're working. So if they work the same times on multiple days, you can very easily add multiple shifts at the same time. You can even add multiple employees at the same time if they're going to be working the same times. They don't even have to be working in the same job role. They can just be employees that work the same days at the same time. Makes it very convenient and very easy to very quickly make a schedule. As I mentioned, settings is where you're going to be creating employee classes. There's also settings for overtime settings and some accessibility features, which you can explore more once you've gained access to your own control panel. Getting into some reporting information, transactions and reports are good places to start. I'm going to bring up reports because this has got a bit of a learning curve, kind of like with splitting when we talked about it in the point of sale. The sales and payments reports and even labor and inventory here all work in very similar ways. If I take a look at my sales report, for example, I have all these filters up here at the top. All this is going to do is change what initial information I see, and from there I can dive deeper. So if I'm okay with looking at my sales by category, I can then dive deeper into, let's say, my burgers category using this drop down here. There is a wealth of information accessible in reports. It's certainly not something we can go over in such a quick demo, but that just gives you a taste on how much information we want to make accessible to you. And of course, it isn't just for these sales and payments reports. You've got reports for taxes, tip sharing, our cash discount program if you're interested in that. Also accessible in labor and inventory reports. There's a ton of information that we can provide. I'm going to skip over inventory because that would be a session in its own right. Going into the menu, I just want to very quickly show you how easy it is to make adjustments to your menu. Adding items is as simple as clicking Add Item in the category that you want, giving it a name and a price, and then click Save. Of course, you have these drop downs for adding optional and forced modifiers if you would. And if you wanted to add things to other menu groups, you have this drop down here. If you wanted to create a brand new menu group, you've got this option here at the very bottom of your drop down. And all that requires is a name, click Save, and it'll be added to your list here. For more minor adjustments or simple adjustments like price changes, those are also very easy to do. Just navigate to the menu you want to change the price for and change it here. We talked about this in the point of sale towards the end of that demo, but as soon as you make a change here, the moment you click Save, you can go to each of your iPads, hit Reload Settings, and you'll see those updated prices and changes. This same kind of layout also applies to all of our modifier pages. So if you wanted to create a new modifier list or make changes to the actual options your customers can pick from, that's all very easy to do. Names, prices, and then just click Save to make sure everything is as you want it. There are other features within the menu like creating modifier groups. That's how you can attach multiple force modifiers to a single item. Supergroups is a reporting tool that can help you. Happy hours is a way you can provide automatic discounts on certain times of day. We get a lot of questions about, can we set these up for a particular date range? And that option is not available yet, but we do have this weekly recurrence. So if every Friday you do the same happy hour, you just set it up to go off on Fridays and you never have to worry about it. Create the happy hour, apply it to your menu, and you're good to go. Restaurant layout is something I did talk about during the point of sale demo as well. When specifically looking at the table layout, this is where you can go to make changes. If you ever change the layout of your restaurant, you're able to click and drag these tables around as you see fit, click and drag them to resize them as well, give them different names. Mine are pretty generic. One thing that's going to be helpful for reporting if you want is to set up revenue centers. This is something you can do within location settings, which is all the way down here at the bottom. But once you've got revenue centers created, you can assign them to specific tables. To be quite honest, most restaurant owners don't take advantage of this feature, but it is nice that it is here for those that really like to dive into their reports and look at trends. Do people closer to the bar order more drinks? Do people further away order more appetizers or desserts or whatever? That's information that you can get from our control panel and from our reports just by creating revenue centers and putting them on your tables. Going into settings here, this is where the bulk of the customization is going to be done. We're not going to go through every single page here. We've obviously skipped quite a bit just to save some time here, but I want to give you a taste on how customizable Lagu can be. Just within location settings, you have options for what gets printed at the bottom of your receipts. On this page in particular, you can choose the logo that's going to get printed. If you're thinking of uploading a company logo, just remember it does have to be in black and white. The control panel will change it for you if there is any color. And as little detail as possible is always preferred. Just helps the printer get that logo out onto your receipt. Advanced location settings is a very dense page, but this is really where the heart of Lavu exists as far as customization, excuse me. This is where you can set up currency symbols, you can set up rounding if you want to, you can change the layout of your point of sale, you can set things like day start end time, which is again important for reporting. We've got a lot of settings geared towards reporting. There are tax settings, calculations for taxes when an order is discounted. You've got tax versus gratuity, what should be calculated first. You have settings for happy hours. There's just a ton of things in here, and you can spend days digging around in here. That can be a little overwhelming, to say the very least. So our customer support teams, onboarding and customer care are all trained heavily on this page so that they know exactly where they need to go. Simple thing to think of is if you want the point of sale to do something, advanced location settings is a great place to start looking around. You can, of course, also reach out to our support team and they'll be more than happy to help you dig through this page, figure out what settings are exactly what you're going to need. In payment settings, this is where you're going to be able to create your tax profiles, very important, discounts, alternative payment methods. And just to give you an idea on discounts, you can see how simple it is. Adding a new discount, you give it a button label or receipt label, tell it what kind of discount it is, and that's essentially all you need. Everything else are optional settings. Do you want it to apply to checks, items, or both? Do you want this hidden behind a particular access level, something that you set when you create your employee profiles in Workforce here? And if you choose to also opt into our loyalty program, you can set up loyalty thresholds that need to be met. So customers can come in, get points. Next time they come in, they can redeem those points for an exclusive discount that they would be able to do. It's all very simple and very easy to set up. For those of you with customer-facing displays or that like to print out your tipping suggestions at the bottom of your receipts, quick tips are where you're going to set both of those values. You can see mine are set to percentages, 12, 15, and 18%. You can, of course, change these to whatever you prefer. There's so many other settings here that exist. We simply don't have time to go over them all. There's a lot to look at. So please let us know if you have any questions. Printers and technical and users and customers is the section you have access to, but to be quite honest, this is an area that our customer support team really lives in. This is how they're going to help you set up printer profiles and make any sort of adjustments, do some sort of troubleshooting. You do have access to this page, but it's not something you're honestly going to come to as often. So certainly not as often as you would come to your menu, which is why I wanted to dedicate some time to this page here. So thank you for attending. I know this was very fast, but if you have any questions, please reach out afterwards via email to our support team, sales team, onboarding teams, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you for attending and have a great rest of your day.